I would like to invite our first keynote speaker of the day, Mr. Ravi Santhanam, who will be speaking on a topic that's close to his heart, revenue marketing. Over to you, Mr. Santhanam.
Thank you, Vijaya. I hope I'm audible.
Yes.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thanks for the opportunity to share my thoughts on what is it that we see in the market today at HDFC Bank as an institution and me as a professional working in this place. The topic I thought I will share my learnings on is revenue marketing, and in simpler English, I call it marketing is the new sales. And why do we say that marketing is the new sales? And what has been the traditional marketeer's role? Vijay was talking about brand custodian as one of the roles. Being resilient in terms of building brands is one of the roles that we were all used to do. And one of the most important roles that we were all expected to do and we are continuing to do is how to be the voice of the customer in the organization. And depending on which organization you work for, this voice of the customer becomes extremely centric to make sure that we as marketeers bring an unbridled version of the truth from the consumer side and put it on the table for us to all make a correct decision in favor of the customer. We're also supposed to do a lot of work to create awareness and consideration, create a pull for the product. And this is what our traditional marketeers' role was. And how did this role got measured? Most of the people had some brand metrics to start with. Some people measured share of voice, share of expenditure in terms of their spend. Some people started looking at top box consideration, what is the awareness for the brand. And all these things people measured. And most of the organizational colleagues know what we did. But very few people exactly knew how we influenced the final business outcome. And it's a cliched saying that we are all aware of. It is 50% effective, marketing and an ad spend is, but which 50% is what we don't know. So this always have left a question mark in terms of the contribution from the marketing professionals as well as the CMOs. And a lot of things have changed. As Vijay said, pandemic has taught us something new, and digital is not something which happened in the pandemic period. It happened multiple years before the pandemic period. And change has been a constant in a marketeer's life. Even if you go back 100 years to start tracing it to now, you had starting with print, then it moved to radio, then it moved to TV, then digital came along. And within the digital ecosystem, we have platform specialists, you have social media, you have multiple other things. And we as marketers have learned how to navigate all these changes. And we have actually successfully made sure that the customer voice is understood across all of these platforms and also used all these platforms to push what we were supposed to push earlier. But with the advent of digital, one thing which actually really increased is what I call as measurability of the impact that we deliver. This digital medium created a lot of transparency that people came to know what is exactly that we delivered. And for people like us, we actually clearly started looking at what is the segmentation that we can do. Can I reach these customers in a better manner? How did the reach increase over a period of time? Knowing fully well the consumer context, have I increased my relevance in this communication? And all these things started becoming more and more visible, and our work started to getting much more recognized in terms of what we did. But this is also an input, and this is not the outcome that people were desiring. The outcome that people were desiring is how are you influencing revenues? And this is what, in my view, in many industries, there are some industries still, I would say that it is still not there. But for any service industry like a banking, for example, or if you work on any of the new age industries that are tech enabled, we not only have the ability today to segment and also go ahead and reach them with the right communication, we can actually complete the sale digitally. And now that you can complete the sale digitally, the new animal is born that are you ready to make sure that you are going to focus on the revenue generations for the organizations? So the new ask in my view is, are you reaching the customer in a relevant manner? Are you helping them in the case of HDFC Bank, for example, making the right financial decisions? And if you do both these two well, what is the resultant revenue that can be directly attributable to what we have done? And that is where it has become that marketing is the new revenue sales. and it becomes extremely measurable. And we at HDFC Bank, for example, we started off with a three-pronged approach. And the first approach we said is, first, bring the traffic to your properties. What is it that you have as your property on which you want to bring the traffic onto? And when you have to bring consumers into this kind of a setup, we need to understand that this is our customers, how to segment them, and all the traditional marketing work that we do, and make sure that we engage with them, we excite them so that they come onto our platform. Today, we have a website which has got more than 80 million visits a month that we have created. And that's a phenomenal amount of traffic for a bank's website where people are coming and checking out what is it in it for them. Once people come in, the next step that we talk about is how do we engage in that property with the customer? So we call it as personalization. People have multiple ways of doing it. We have invested heavily in data and analytics. And for example, I keep telling this as a joke, maybe it's now an old joke. The only person who understood data and other things during maybe in the early 2000s, we used to call him a power MIS user. Today, I have platform specialists working with me. I have data science specialists working with me. And that is how the things have changed. So you need to have a phenomenal amount of ability to crunch what data that you already have about the customers. What is the digital footprint that the customers are leaving behind in your properties? What is it that the consumer are telling us with every kind of communication when they engage with them on our own channels, whether it is an email or an SMS? How do you bring all these transactional data, the digital behavior data, the understanding of past success stories of how do we sell, all these things put together, how do we actually personalize the visit of each and every one of the customers who come into our property? And we are very happy to share that we do personalization for more than 90% of our customers who come into our website. All this personalization is to make sure that the customers are engaged with the right content, with the right product that is right for them at that point of time, and then make them go ahead and apply. The third portion, we call it as the journey design and fulfillment. We have the customer who has come into our platform. She has found the content engaging and she wants to apply for a credit card. Why can't she just apply and take it digitally through the whole ecosystem and get the card in the next 10 minutes? And that's what is the attempt that we are on to now. We already have more than 10 journeys live, which are fully STP, as we call it, end to end. And we do a huge amount of work to get there. Today, we have put ourselves a target that we will contribute 25% of the bank's incremental revenues going forward. And that's a kind of a vision we put in place. It is daunting when you have to think of marketing is the new sales and how do I put a revenue where nobody else is involved, zero touch, directly communicating with the customers, bringing up all these stuff, and then actually enabling the consumer to fulfill that particular journey. So this is what I believe is the future for marketeers. You need to take the plunge. You need to announce yourself as the new revenue marketeer and take the sales targets. And if I have to look at what are the 3 or 4 key things that is required as a mindset change that we all need to develop ourselves, and what are the new skills that are required, I'll just leave you with this final thought. The first one is we always used to do a lot of consumer insighting and segmentation. That was part of the blood of every marketeer. Add the ability to understand data science, analytics, and a lot of artificial intelligence, machine language processes that are happening. How do we use that kind of information that is already available? How do we use the data to better understand our consumers, better segment our customers, better predict what the consumer would look for, and better prescribe how the consumer should actually go through the journeys? This is the first one that I will ask everybody to build a new skill set. The second one, which I will want to leave you with your thought, is be a catalyst for the organizational change. We are anyway expected to be the voice of the customer. We are anyway expected to be the brand custodian. Redefine our roles as the brand experience custodian. Once we redefine the role as a brand experience custodian, what happens is immediately every element where the consumer is engaging and not having a great experience becomes our responsibility to get involved and help sort it out. When you look at this being a catalyst for organizational change, we need to work with multiple people across multiple functions, whether it is regulatory baggage that we call. Many people have legacy technology baggages, legacy process baggages. There is no data-driven organizational decision-making mindset. So we need to be the catalyst for this kind of an organizational change during this process. The third thing which I would leave you with your thought is we need to take ownership for some of the non-traditional roles to support this transition, whether it involves technology, whether it involves operation, whether it involves risk in the case of a bank, digital, logistics, sales. We need to work with a lot of people to make sure that this organizational goal of becoming revenue-driven marketeer happens by just taking these non-traditional roles which are not currently fully defined. We all need to use the customer imperative of ease of use and delight as the cornerstone when we actually take these non-traditional roles and push the people. The last thought I will want to leave behind is, as marketeers, we have a lot of empathy, and we're expected to have a lot of empathy because we are supposed to be listening always to our customers and looking forward to bringing their voice inside the customer. This, as you actually move into a revenue marketeer's role, we have the ability to empower our customers. Please also empower a lot of these things around in the organization. And when you're trying to empower people with the data science, with the knowledge, with the journeys, automatically what happens when you actually go ahead and say, I will bring in the revenues, you also get the ability to bring in the investments. Please use this to empower multiple functions across the spectrum of the organization, whether it is technology, process, people, skill development across the organization. Use this opportunity to empower basis the investment that you can bring in because you're going to become a revenue marketeer. And this empowerment will lead to a lot more collaborative work culture that people actually come back and start supporting us to become the revenue marketeers that we desire it to be. With this, I'll end here today. Thanks for the opportunity to add Dalia and Vijay to you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. I'm pretty sure our audience might have received great insights about the revenue marketing. Thank you so much.